in this conversation, it's like, hey, we're kind of at a critical point here in our business. If something does not change in the next 30 days, have a business in the next, I think it was about 2 or 3 hour partner meeting. It finally comes out that the partner that was head of all of our networking and sales believe in our product, and I have not been selling it for 90 days.
When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind at speed, so breathing deep. Then call the damn leads. Call the damn leads.
Hey, welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drewbie Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. So let's be honest, this is the greatest job on earth. Doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality type, you can create an amazing life in sales. And today's guest, no stranger to the journey, I'd like to welcome Joel Keith to the show. How are you, sir?
Good, Drewbie. How are you?
Crushing the day so far, man. Excited to be here with you. I want to jump right in. I want to hear your crazy sales story.
Yeah. So my sales story comes from more of a systemic issue inside of our business with our processes and team in general. So maybe not necessarily just a specific client or something that we're working with, but about 5 or 6 years ago, I had a marketing agency with one other partner. We eventually got acquired by a larger marketing agency out of Austin, Texas, and we moved in, became minority partners in that business, and we were growing fast. We went 0 to 100 pretty quick in the sense of, we were encroaching on, poised for 7 figures in revenue within the first year of being a part of this agency. So we were really excited. A lot of things were going well for us. And about 18 months in, maybe 24 months in, it seemed like everything just stopped. Sales stopped. The contracts were not getting signed. What leads we did have weren't going through the contract, and they just seemed super low quality. We were trying to figure out what's going on. So we had kind of a come to Jesus meeting as partners and sat down with the partner that was head of sales at that time, sales and networking, which is, he was a really good dude, really exceptionally good at what he did. In this conversation, it's like, hey, we're kind of at a critical point here in our business. If something does not change in the next 30 days, we may not have a business in the next 60 days. And through this long, I think it was about 2 or 3 hour partner meeting, it finally comes out that the partner that was head of all of our networking and sales says, I don't believe in our product, and I have not been selling it for 90 days. And so immediately, there was 5 other partners at the time, and on top of that. And so there's 6 of us total, and we're all just sitting here kind of dumbfounded as to like why this was okay. And I think what it did, it taught us a lot of things. It was one, we had taken our sales cycle, and all our sales channel was funneled through one person. It was funneled through 1 or 2 very small channels in itself. We had been very fortunate to have a really strong network, and we were building relationships, and we're getting referrals, working off BNI networks and chambers and things like that. But the problem was there was no, paid acquisition channels. There's no cold outbound sales calls or warm outbound sales calls, none of that. And I think it was a really big eye opener for us as a business, as an agency, to say, okay, we can't just rely on this one thing, regardless of how good it is. We can't rely on this one thing. We have to include these other sales channels. And on top of that, it allowed us to kind of see behind the scenes a little bit more of our processes internally, how we are operating as partners and as a business, to say we have to have more checks and balances in there. So it came with a happy ending eventually, and kind of where we are now, we're back, and we went down to less than 10K in revenue per month from doing almost 80K months. And now we're back on track just in the past 18 months, moving past the 45K MRR mark, and moving into very rapidly back up to that 75, 80K MRR.
Man, there's so many layers to that I want to touch into, because as sales professionals, those of you who are listening, if you no longer feel passionate about the thing that you're selling, or you do not believe in it, please just be honest with everyone and go find something else to sell. Like, sales is such a wonderful opportunity, but you don't have to stay a slave to something that you don't believe in. It makes it harder to sell. It makes it so you're not going to make any money. And then, if you're not the business owner that's selling stuff, like, you're putting someone else in a really tough spot. And so I love how you recognize that, from a leadership perspective, you had to take ownership of that because you weren't paying enough attention and there wasn't enough KPIs and metrics and accountability to what those channels looked like. And so
Yep.
you have this realization, you're like, okay, shucks, like we've tapped our referral network as tapped as it's going to get right now. Like we're going to get more, but that's it. What was the first step that you took to then say, okay, now what's our next acquisition channel? Where do we go from here?
Yeah. So the referrals channels, again, it was kind of funneled through like, here's one BNI chapter and that was it. So we knew that referral base was really strong for us because we were very relationship based. Our agency takes the position of focusing on the partnership between our, us and the client. It's not, we're not just a service fulfillment company, although we do service fulfillment. Our job is to help them take their business to that next financial step, that next revenue level. So having that relationship building poised us so well for the referral base. So really it was, okay, if you haven't even put any effort in the past 90 days of like doing anything, first thing that we got to do is go open that channel back up. We got to fix the problems in that channel while we add on the other channels that aren't currently, in place or that don't provide any sort of value or lead generation. So over the past, we'll call it 2 years now, opening that back up, the referral channel is just as strong as ever coming in. I mean, we have probably 75 to 80% of our billables every single month is based on referral or networking relationship
Beautiful.
that we have. But now it's, okay, now we're going to go out and actually do joint ventures. So now we're looking at other coaches. We're looking at other businesses that say like, hey, we've set up a referral program now to where if you refer someone to me, I'm giving you 10% in cash kickback every single month for as long as they're a client, as long as they're under contract. If you do service with us as well, I'll give you 15% credit on your bill every single month for as long as they are a client. So now all of a sudden there's this incentive for, all of our clients. So now I've got, plus the people inside of their business, 20, 40 different people that are like, I want to make sure that my business is paying less in marketing and I can allocate more money to, whether it's the team, whether it's, business growth, whether it's more advertising dollars, whatever it is. Now they become an advocate for us as a marketing agency.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say we've even moved out to cold outreach through emails. Although that in itself is a very difficult beast to kind of be successful. It is one that slowly trying to tackle. Looking at paid advertising as well. Like that one for agencies is very difficult, but those are still ones that I believe that are necessary in order to help kind of diversify our lead generation.
Yeah, I think you touched on something super important. That is that if you have a database, you probably could go and find some clients in there if you actually picked up the phone and called the dang people. Like that's the funniest part about when I walk into a business and I start asking them like, well, how many leads do you have? And, when's the last time you talked to them? And they're like, well, we're just trying to get new leads. It's like, okay. And what about all those people that you already paid to bring in the door? And why aren't you having conversations with them? Whether it's you paid with your dollars from paid advertising, you paid with your time, energy, and effort to go and create that relationship. And so when you come in and you start working with a client, right, because you're coming from the marketing standpoint, how do you make sure their sales team is in alignment with the marketing process? Because I think there's can be a disconnect there sometimes.
Yeah. So our agency is highly focused on local businesses. So a lot of home service professionals, a lot of law firms, things like that. Law firms usually have their stuff together as far as, the sales side of things because they're lawyers, they talk for a living. Whereas home service professionals, a lot of the times there's a lot of difficulty in that because the guys doing the sales are also the techs, so you think about, you call an HVAC company, your tech, he's just, if he loves being a tech, sometimes they're just odd guys because they like the mechanics of it, right? Like that's, call it what it is. You listen to me talk about marketing, you think the same way. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to marketing, but like they're not always the best salespeople. They're not always the best people to even want to talk to other people. And that makes the sales aspect hard. And so when you're driving leads and then they can, they're supposed to kind of upsell and do these things while they're on the job to increase your AOV, it's difficult. And so then well, the marketing team is bringing in low quality leads. Well, that's not always the case. Sometimes that is the case, but we have to take a look at the sales team. So there is some elements on business industries or areas where we are qualified to kind of speak to the sales cycle. We can work with either they have a sales team lead, or we work directly sometimes with the client themselves to say like, hey, let's change your language when you're talking to a customer out in the field. So instead of like, trying to, say this in order to, increase or whatever, let's start with a preventative maintenance package for your HVAC unit. Let's start with a low ticket item and then see what else, kind of works over the course of the next 30, 60 days. So there is some elements of coaching that goes into the sales cycle and sales process with the clients themselves.
Yeah, I funny enough, Call the Damn Leads exists because I at one point had a marketing agency, and I came from the insurance world, so I was like, hey, if I can get leads for me, I might as well get leads for other people, right? And so I started working with real estate agents and loan officers, and by golly, real estate agents, amazingly, you are terrible at picking up the phone and calling the damn leads. Yep. And so I had one client in particular that literally I was like, hey, man, you're asking me for a refund. What's up? And he's like, well, this isn't working. And so I picked up the phone and started calling his leads and set a bunch of appointments and like got a contract signed, ready to go. I'm just like, and so I appreciate that you have to take a delicate consultative approach as a marketing agency to working with a business. Cause like you said, it's not their fault. They're swinging a hammer. They're, technicians. They're the expert in that field. And I think there's nothing wrong with admitting like, hey, I'm not the greatest sales guy. I could use some help. That's why most people are listening to the show, because they're like, hey, what's that one little thing that I can do to increase, my close rate and my lead generation that's going to make me to that next level. So when you're looking at, let's say small business, local service, you don't have to give away all the secret sauce, but like, what are some of those couple simple things that people are just way overlooking that's preventing them from being able to generate more opportunity for themselves?
Yeah, I think the biggest gap that we see when we do sales coaching is they're not putting themselves in the customer's shoes and seeing it from their perspective, in the sense of like, okay, think about it again, we'll go back to the HVAC example. You have to call an HVAC technician because your AC or heater broke, and you are probably in inclement weather where you need that unit to work. You're probably having to take off work because that's the only time that they had for you to be home. So you're dealing with am I using PTO? Am I trying to get approval to work from home? I've got, a family potentially. I've got pets potentially. So it's a highly stressful situation typically for most homeowners when an HVAC unit goes out. And so when the guy comes in and he fixes it and he's like, or he diagnoses it and says, hey, your capacitor's gone bad. It's going to be $550 to swap out the capacitor. And it's like $550. I wasn't prepared for $550, right? The economy already as it is, it's difficult for people to make payments on things, let alone an unexpected expense, right? So now you're adding stress on top of that. So it's just this compiling, list of stressors. And then you're like, okay, yeah, now I want to, talk to you about a new unit, because now your refrigerant in this unit is no longer produced. So you might need to look at getting a new unit. Well, now they're stressing, how much is that going to be? $6,000, $7,000 for a new unit. And so I think when you take the time to say, okay, they're probably stressed out. All of these things are happening, not including other life factors that are probably happening, just as everyone has. How can I position myself, or what can I do to ease their mind at all? And if you can start looking for opportunities to connect on a human level and ease stressors, that positions you so much better as a trusted individual, that when you say, hey, I think it'd be really good for you to sign up for this preventative maintenance plan. It's $89 a month, and it's going to cover you. We're going to come out multiple times through the year. We're going to do all these things, blah, blah, blah. We'll make sure you're going to, and you don't have to worry about this again, because we will see it before it happens. That positions you in a much better spot than, hey, yeah, I'm supposed to offer this to you. Here's a pamphlet. Do you want to sign up for this thing for $90 a month? And it's just like, no, man, I just paid you $500. Now you want more money out of me? No, like, is it fixed? Yes. Okay, get out of my house. I got to go back to work or whatever it is. So I think that take the time, understand how the individual is feeling before you start your pitch or to start your sales process with them.
Yeah, that's so good, dude. Like that was an absolute masterclass. So I hope they were paying attention today because there's a level of empathy that you have to have when it comes to sales. You have to be able to put yourself in a position of understanding because they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I don't know
Right.
who I stole that quote from. So whoever internet marketer guru guy that made that, like, I think it was probably a Zig Ziglar or somebody, but like that's
Yeah.
the thing is if you can get into their shoes and understand like what's the most important thing to them in this moment and how am I going to be confident in our ability to prevent this from ever happening again or solving this problem so that it's not a problem for them to worry about. That's when you can start making real sales versus just taking orders. And
Yep.
and that the way that you broke it down, like I said, absolute masterclass, man. And so you start working with these companies. How often do you get resistance from their team versus buy-in where they're like, yeah, I want to sell more stuff?
I think it all depends on how we are brought in as the consultants. So it really does. A lot of this falls on the shoulders of the business owner that's bringing us in. Because if it's, hey guys, revenue's down, your sales numbers are down, I'm bringing someone in to fix things. That's a very different approach than like, hey, as a leader, I'm noticing these KPIs in our revenue, we're not hitting marks. I want to try to help bring the best resources we can to help you guys feel more comfortable, build your confidence in your sales ability or whatever it is. I'm bringing someone in. I want everyone to sit down and like, let's have an open discussion. I think that's a big part of like that setup. And then I think too, the other part is on our end coming in with very much an open conversational approach and not coming in necessarily with just like, all right, I'm gonna get through this bulleted list. I'm going to do my duty in my contract and then get out. Like actually sitting down and understanding, okay, why are they not hitting their sales? Not just a logistical, but like from the actual person, do they not feel comfortable doing this? And if so, why don't they feel comfortable doing this? And then how do we counteract that uncomfortability and get them comfortable doing it? Because I mean, there's that quote that, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your highest level of preparation. So if we can prepare them the best we can, so that way, even if they do get uncomfortable in a situation, I don't like talking to people, I'm not supposed to make the sale, I know what I'm supposed to do and all this, and they get in a stressful situation as the tech or whatever that's out-fulfilling in the field, at the very least, they can default to their training and say, okay, I know I'm supposed to say this. I know I'm supposed to, find ways to be empathetic. Is there something that takes me 3 minutes that would benefit this homeowner? Can I trim a bush for them? Can I, if I'm looking at their roof, can I bring a leaf blower up and blow off their roof real quick or whatever to help with their shingles? Whatever it is, find that little thing. And so that's kind of what we try to instill with them inside of the coaching side.
Absolute masterclass, man. And we could probably nerd out on this forever, but I want to be respectful of your time. How do we come find you, follow you, check out more of your content, see what you guys have going on?
Yeah, for sure. ASPbranding.com. You can email me, joel.keith@aspbranding.com. Atomic Souls Productions are most of our social media handles. We post in videos and podcast clips and stuff like there all the time. So feel free to follow us there.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for sharing today, man. This has been awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Drewbie. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Listen, if you guys enjoyed the show, go share it on social media, tag us, let us know you invested a little time here, that it was worth it. And that's why we do this, because we want to help. We want to see you grow. Maybe you know somebody who sucks at talking to people and they need to listen to this masterclass that Joel just gave on how to have empathy and work with someone. Send it to them. You don't have to tell them they suck. Just send it to them and be like, hey, I heard this. I thought of you. I thought you should listen to it. And then go leave us a review, subscribe, check out all the other episodes. You guys know what to do from here. If you have a crazy sales story and you want to share it on the show, I'd love to have you as a guest. Head over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Send us your details. We'll get you booked in. then grab a hat, grab a t-shirt, grab some swag, support the movement, because you guys know what to do from here. Pick up the phone, call the damn leads. We'll see you next time.
When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind at speed, so breathing deep. Then call the damn leads. Call the damn leads.